gonna read and we're gonna talk. We're gonna learn and it's gonna rock. We're gonna answer 3 questions, it's a walk in the park. It's Mr. Clark's Corner, now here's Mr. Clark.
Have you ever experienced deja vu? Have you ever experienced deja vu? Have you ever experienced deja vu? Alright, enough of that. Deja vu is when it feels like things are repeating itself, right? And in the Bible, there's a lot of times where things repeat too. And it's important. In fact, anytime in the Bible you see something happen over and over again, it's important. It's a point of emphasis or something that the author wanted the reader to really understand. And so that's what we're going to be talking about today on Mr. Clark's Corner. But first, I want to say thank you for my Get Well Soon card that you guys made me and you all signed and made pictures in. That really helped me. Many of you know I was sick this last Sunday, so thank you very much for doing that. Now I feel great and ready to go and ready for our Fall Fest, which is this Sunday, so make sure and come to church on Sunday and stay for the Fall Fest afterwards. It's going to be awesome. This last Sunday, we talked about Elisha. We've been talking about Elijah, but now we've kind of shifted into talking about Elisha. In fact, the last story of Elijah was when Elijah was taken to heaven in a chariot of fire, right? A chariot of fire came down from heaven, swooped up Elijah, and took him back up to heaven, and Elisha was left on earth. Elijah was one of only 2 people that never actually died, and it's an amazing story. But I think when we read that story a lot, we forget to look at the other things around it. And those are just as important. And so that's what we're going to be talking about today. So before Elijah went off to heaven, in order to get to the spot they were at, they had to cross the Jordan River. And they didn't want to swim, and they didn't have a boat. So how else were they going to do it? Well, Elijah took off his cloak, which was like a jacket or an overshirt, and he rolled it up really tight, and he slapped the water, and the water parted to the right and to the left. And Elijah and Elisha crossed over the Jordan River on dry land. And when they got to the spot, that's when the chariot of fire came, swooped up Elijah, and took him back to heaven. Did you hear that? That's our code word of the day. And our code word today is ribbit, like a frog makes. R-I-B-B-I-T, ribbit, because it sounds kind of like repeat. And that's what we're talking about today. But we haven't talked about repeat quite yet. But here's what happened when Elijah got taken to heaven. As he was going off in a chariot of fire, his cloak or his outer shirt fell. And Elisha picked it up and put it on. Before this happened, though, there was something important that Elisha asked Elijah for, and we're going to read about that in 2 Kings chapter 2, verse 9. We've been in 1 Kings, but now as we transition to talking more about Elisha, then we are going to be in 2 Kings. So here's what 2 Kings chapter 2, verse 9 says. After they had gone across, Elijah spoke to Elisha, and he said, "Tell me, what can I do for you before I'm taken away from you?" And Elisha replied, "Please give me a double share of your spirit." Elisha wanted Elijah's power that God had given him, but he wanted a double share of it. Elisha could have asked for fame or for riches or for money, but Elisha asked for things that could help other people. It was a very good and wise choice. And we know this happened because when Elijah's cloak fell and Elisha put it on, guess what? Elisha had to go back to the place where they were. So he had to cross back over the Jordan River. And how was he going to do that? Well, he wasn't going to swim, and he didn't have a boat. So Elisha took off Elijah's shirt, rolled it up tight, slapped the water with it. And what happened? The waters parted to the right and to the left. And Elisha walked over across on dry ground. It's an amazing story. Doesn't that sound familiar? It's like deja vu. It just happened. Elijah did it, and now Elisha did it. It's important. The author tells us that Elisha now has the power that Elijah had. And it's an incredible story. And in the Bible, lots of things are repeated. I think about the other times the waters were parted. The Israelites crossed the Jordan River when they went into the Promised Land. The Israelites crossed the Red Sea when they were leaving Egypt. Peter was asked 3 times by Jesus. Jesus said, "Peter, do you love me? Then feed my sheep." 3 times. Repetition, repeating things is important in the Bible. It's even important in other things. Think about Dr. Martin Luther King Jr.'s most famous speech, his "I have a dream" speech. If he said "I have a dream" 1 time in that speech, we probably wouldn't remember it. But he said it over and over and repeated it, and now it's one of the most famous speeches ever made. Repetition is important, and I want you to look in your Bibles to see if you see any other times where things are repeated. That brings us to today's 3 questions. Question number 1. Can you think of any other times in the Bible where something is repeated? Question number 2. What are some characteristics of God that are repeated? For example, God's love is repeated over and over. Question number 3. How can we repeatedly show God's love to other people around us? That's going to do it for Mr. Clark's Corner. I'm Mr. Clark. This is my corner. Adios, amigos.
Okay, we read, alright, we talked. Oh yes, we learned, and you know we rocked. We even answered 3 questions, man, what a fun day. It's Mr. Clark's Corner, I'll see you on Sunday.